Welcome to today's episode. We're diving into Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, a story of extreme mental toughness, relentless discipline, and pushing beyond every limit you thought you had. Chapter 1, titled I Should Have Been a Statistic, takes us into Goggins' early life, a childhood filled with abuse, fear, and systemic challenges. He grew up in an environment dominated by a physically abusive father, living under constant intimidation and trauma. On top of that, Goggins struggled with learning disabilities, poverty, and the humiliation of being underestimated or dismissed. He shares vivid, sometimes brutal memories: the fear of walking on eggshells at home, the experience of racism and bullying in school, and the sense that the world was stacked against him. Yet, even in this dark environment, he began to recognize the power of the mind. He realized that while he couldn't control the abuse, poverty, or the ignorance of others, he could control his response, and that would determine his future. Hardships aren't just obstacles, they're the training ground for mental strength. Stop blaming your circumstances. Your choices and mindset are the only things you can fully control. Avoiding difficulty only limits growth. The first step to building resilience is acknowledging discomfort and leaning into it. Life is unfair, painful, and full of barriers, but how you respond to your circumstances defines your limits, and ultimately, your potential. Extreme challenges are opportunities in disguise. By taking ownership of our struggles, confronting our fears, and refusing to be defined by circumstance, we begin to unlock the power within us and start the journey toward true resilience. Chapter 2, Truth Hurts. Goggins explores the painful reality of self-deception and the importance of facing your own shortcomings without excuses. After surviving a traumatic childhood, he realizes that blaming others or his circumstances won't help him escape mediocrity. To change his life, he must confront the hard truths about himself. His lack of discipline, physical unfitness, and mental weaknesses. Goggins struggled with weight gain and low self-esteem after high school, feeling trapped in a cycle of laziness and excuses. The moment he looks in the mirror and realizes he's the only one responsible for his failures and his future. The introduction of what he calls the accountability mirror, a tool for brutally honest self-assessment. He writes his goals, shortcomings, and truths on sticky notes, putting them on the mirror as a constant reminder that change begins with radical honesty. Avoiding uncomfortable truths only keeps you stuck. You are responsible for everything in your life, good and bad. By confronting reality, no matter how painful, you can begin to take deliberate action to improve yourself. Goggins emphasizes that most people lie to themselves, making excuses for their failures. True transformation starts when you stop hiding, stop blaming, and accept your full responsibility for the life you live. Honesty with yourself is painful but liberating. The accountability mirror is more than a metaphor. It's a practice for anyone who wants to stop making excuses, take control, and begin the journey toward extraordinary mental and physical resilience. In Chapter 3, titled The Impossible Task, Goggins dives into his experiences with military training and extreme challenges, revealing how pushing beyond perceived limits can redefine what we believe is possible. After confronting his childhood trauma and taking radical accountability for his life, he sets his sights on joining the U.S. Air Force Tactical Air Control Party, TACP, and later the Navy SEALs. These ambitions seem nearly impossible, both physically and mentally. At the time, Goggins faces severe physical limitations, learning difficulties, and intense psychological pressure. Yet he refuses to let these obstacles define his future. He openly confronts his struggles with obesity and poor fitness, realizing that achieving his goals will require a complete transformation of both body and mind. This chapter marks his introduction to extreme, structured discipline, long-distance running, swimming, and relentless strength training, pushing far beyond what he once believed were his physical limits. Mental toughness is built through voluntary suffering. Deliberately choosing challenges that feel overwhelming is what prepares you for life's hardest battles. Growth happens when you willingly face extreme challenges. What seems impossible is often just a mental barrier. Small, consistent daily actions compound into extraordinary results. Goggins introduces the idea that suffering is a tool. By leaning into pain instead of avoiding it, you develop unshakable resilience. Achieving the extraordinary requires a mindset that welcomes discomfort, embraces struggle, and refuses to quit. The impossible is a choice. By facing challenges head-on, staying disciplined, and committing to relentless effort, you can push beyond fear, doubt, and limitations, and discover a level of mental and physical strength you never thought possible. In Chapter 4, titled Taking Souls, Goggins explores the mental strategies that allow him to dominate challenges that others would quit. After joining the Navy SEALs, Goggins faced the brutal Basic Underwater Demolition /SEAL BUD/S training, one of the toughest military programs in the world. The physical challenges were extreme, but Goggins realized that the real battles are in the mind. He developed a strategy he calls taking souls, outperforming others mentally, showing relentless determination, and forcing people around him to question their own limits. He used mental toughness to push past exhaustion during training, while others quit. He learned that pain and suffering are relative, and by embracing them, he could rise above the crowd. He also recognized that psychological dominance is just as powerful as physical strength, and that inspiring, or intimidating, others through sheer will can shift dynamics in his favor. Your mind can take you farther than your body thinks possible. Embrace adversity as a weapon rather than a setback. Taking souls isn't about cruelty, it's about demonstrating unstoppable resolve, which inspires or demoralizes others. Winning the battle inside your mind is far more important than winning in the external world. By outlasting, outworking, and outthinking others, you can gain an edge in any challenge. Mental dominance is key. By refusing to quit, embracing pain, and mastering your inner game, you can rise above fear, fatigue, and limitations, effectively taking control of your circumstances and even influencing those around you. In Chapter 5, titled Armored Mind, Goggins dives deeper into building mental resilience to endure pain, adversity, and life's toughest challenges. After mastering the concept of taking souls, he realizes that mental toughness isn't just a skill, it's armor. It protects you from giving up, from negative self-talk, and from letting fear or doubt control your actions. He shares how continuous exposure to discomfort, running ultramarathons, cold exposure, and extreme physical training strengthens the mind like armor around your spirit. He emphasizes the 40% rule, the idea that when your mind tells you you're done, you're only at 40% of your true potential. Most people quit far too early. He also explains that embracing pain intentionally teaches the mind that suffering is temporary and can be overcome, giving you a strategic advantage in any situation. He demonstrates that mental resilience is built through deliberate effort and daily discipline. By treating life's obstacles as training opportunities, you can armor your mind and push past limits most people would never even attempt. An armored mind is unbreakable. By embracing pain, facing fear, and understanding that quitting is a choice, you can reach levels of mental and physical endurance few dare to explore. In Chapter 6, titled "It's Not About a Trophy," Goggins emphasizes that real motivation comes from within, not from recognition, awards, or external validation. After facing and overcoming incredible physical and mental challenges, Goggins realizes that the pursuit of trophies or accolades is a superficial goal. True growth and fulfillment come from pushing yourself beyond comfort, embracing struggle, and proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. External validation is fleeting, but the internal satisfaction of knowing you've pushed past your limits is lasting. He emphasizes the importance of intrinsic motivation, doing hard things because they make you stronger, not because anyone else will notice. Focus on internal growth, not external rewards. Push past comfort zones even when nobody is watching. Endurance and resilience are the real trophies. They can't be taken away. Success isn't about recognition. It's about what you learn and who you become in the process. By shifting your focus from trophies to self-mastery, you develop the mindset to endure and thrive in the most challenging situations. True achievement is internal. Stop chasing validation from others and start focusing on building strength, discipline, and resilience from within. You'll find that personal growth is the greatest reward of all. In Chapter 7, David Goggins reveals what he believes is the most powerful weapon of all: the mind's ability to draw strength from past suffering. When facing extreme pain, exhaustion, or moments where quitting feels inevitable, he mentally reaches back into his past and reminds himself of every hardship he has already survived. Each painful memory becomes proof of resilience, a reminder that he has endured worse and can keep going. Rather than allowing past trauma to weaken him, Goggins reframes pain as fuel. Abuse, failure, and struggle are no longer burdens. They are weapons he uses to silence doubt and push forward when his body and mind want to stop. Mental strength is not about motivation or positive thinking. It's about evidence. When fear or doubt appears, you don't rely on feelings. You rely on facts drawn from your own history of survival. Your greatest weapon isn't talent, luck, or physical strength. It's your ability to use past pain as proof of your resilience. When life pushes you to the edge, your history of endurance can pull you forward. In Chapter 8, titled "Talent Not Required," David Goggins challenges the common belief that success depends on natural ability. He argues that discipline, consistency, and mental toughness matter far more than talent. Most people rely on talent as an excuse, either believing they don't have enough of it or using it to avoid hard work. In contrast, he builds his success through relentless effort, daily discipline, and a willingness to suffer, even when he lacks natural advantages. Ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results by committing to uncomfortable, repetitive work. He emphasizes that motivation fades, but discipline remains. What separates those who succeed from those who quit is not intelligence or talent, but the ability to show up every day and do the work. especially when it hurts. Anyone can develop strength, resilience, and confidence if they are willing to endure discomfort and remain committed over time. Success is earned, not gifted. You don't need to be special or talented. You need to be disciplined, consistent, and mentally tough. When you remove talent from the equation, effort becomes the great equalizer. In Chapter 9, titled Uncommon Amongst Uncommon, David Goggins raises the standard even higher. This chapter is about separating yourself not just from the average, but from the elite. Being uncommon is no longer enough. When you enter environments filled with high performers, elite military units, endurance athletes, or driven professionals, you must be willing to do what even the best are unwilling to do. True excellence requires outworking, outlasting, and outthinking people who are already exceptional. He shares how, during Navy SEAL training and extreme endurance events, he refused to blend in, even among the toughest individuals. While others did what was required, Goggins did more. He trained harder, suffered longer, and pushed further, building a reputation for relentless discipline and mental dominance. Excellence requires raising your standards beyond your environment. Comfort is the enemy, even among high achievers. To stand out, you must be willing to suffer more than anyone else in the room. Greatness is lonely. Choosing to be uncommon amongst the uncommon means accepting isolation, criticism, and extreme discomfort. But it also means becoming someone who can be relied on when conditions are brutal and pressure is at its highest. Real greatness begins where comparison ends. To be uncommon amongst the uncommon, you must commit to a level of discipline and suffering that most people, even high performers, are unwilling to embrace. In Chapter 10, titled The Empowerment of Failure, David Goggins explores how failure is not the enemy, but a tool for growth. Goggins shares that throughout his life, he faced countless setbacks, failing tests, being rejected, struggling in training, and enduring physical and mental pain. Instead of letting these failures define him, he used them as fuel to push harder and improve himself. Every mistake shows you what needs improvement. Each setback strengthens mental toughness. Failing in challenging situations is better than avoiding challenges altogether. He emphasizes that most people fear failure and therefore limit themselves. True empowerment comes when you stop seeing failure as shame and start seeing it as an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and more disciplined. Failure is a springboard, not a barrier. By leaning into failure, learning from it, and refusing to be defeated, you unlock growth and resilience that no success alone could provide. In Chapter 11, titled What If?, Goggins explains that asking yourself, what if, as in, what if I could endure this? What if I could achieve that? Opens your mind to opportunities you might have dismissed as impossible. Rather than fearing failure, he encourages embracing uncertainty and testing the limits of what you think you can do. He emphasizes that most people never ask themselves these questions, which is why they never discover their true potential. Asking, what if, expands your sense of possibility. Mental limits are often self-imposed. Testing them builds resilience. Courage is developed by stepping into challenges you previously thought impossible. Your potential is far greater than you realize. By asking, what if, and daring to act, you unlock doors to achievements you once thought unreachable, turning curiosity and courage into unstoppable action. Thanks for listening. Remember, true growth comes from embracing discomfort, facing your fears, and refusing to quit. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode that challenges you to unlock your full potential. Stay strong, stay relentless, and keep pushing forward.